Hello, welcome to the Villages, Florida. My name is David. I'm a realtor with Florida Realty Investments, and I can be reached at DavidisinFlorida at gmail.com. Every week, we take a look at what's happening in the real estate market, specifically in the Villages, Florida. And you really should stay tuned this week. We have a lot of new charts and a lot of interesting information that isn't apparent at first glance. And we'll get into that in a moment. But first, I'd like to point out two things. The first is that all this information is drawn from the multiple listing service, and it does not include any information from the VLS, the Village's own internal listing service. So that means that if you are a buyer and looking at the Villages, unless you employ two realtors, one with VLS and one with MLS, you will not see all of the properties available for sale. The second thing I'd like to mention is that we produce the show every Monday. Make sure you check the date to ensure you're getting the most recent information. So, with that out of the way, let's take a look at what's happening this week. We always start by taking a look at this chart, which is a daily graph of the government 10-year note yield. This time period, this maturity, most closely tracks the mortgage rate. And you can see that after reaching almost 5% from 0.5% 2 years ago, rates fell slightly over the last several days, and we'll have to wait and see whether they're going to resume their upward trend or not. Currently, we're looking at mortgage rates close to 7.5%. Homes that were affordable at 300,000 and a mortgage rate of 3% are vastly less affordable today, even if the price were the same. And prices have also increased. Now we're going to start by taking a look at all of the listings in the villages, which this week number 340, up from 320 last week, and this compares to 259 same week a year ago. Village prices range from 164.9 to just under 2.6 million, and looking at this graph, you can see that the number of listings is resuming its climb. We're going to be taking a look at listings from a number of different perspectives, including looking at the three different geographical regions of the villages. We'll look at listings, sales, and homes that went pending, and we'll break them down by region so you can get some idea as to how price varies between the regions. I'd like to ask, if you find this information valuable, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you're able to like it, we would appreciate that as well. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. Here's a quick look at a tool that we developed internally. This is a map showing every property currently for sale in the villages. The size of the circle denotes the square footage, and the color of the circle denotes its price per square foot. Therefore, a large light circle will be expensive and large, and a small dark circle will be a smaller home and a lower price per square foot. Also, a large dark circle will be a large home at a low price per square foot. We have the ability to filter this map and look at regions of the villages, take a look at what homes are available, what homes have sold, and what homes have gone pending over various period of time, to give you a very good idea as to what a home might be worth. Here's one of our new graphs. Here we look at all listings and we break it down by region. We have all regions, which is the entirety of the villages, the north, the middle, and the south. The boundary between the north and the middle is Highway 466, and the boundary between the middle and the south is Highway 466A. You can see, looking at this page, not only how many properties are available in each price range, but to the right, you can see the total number of listings, you can see the median size of the listing, and you can see the median price per square foot. So looking at this information, one can determine that in the north, the median size is 1,522 square feet and the median price 239.48. And as one goes south, houses both get larger and increase in price per square foot. Here's the graph we've been employing for 2.5 years now. This is a 4-week average of the listing price per square foot for all of the listings in the villages. This week, the median listing price is 261.31 a square foot compared to 260.83 last week and compared to 268.08. I will point out that all of the graphs that say 4-week average, the data points you're looking at are actual numbers, whereas the graph itself is a 4-week moving average. Here we look at all listings and how long they've been on the market. Median listing time has increased from 44 days last week to 52 days this week. Keep in mind the graph is a 4-week smoothed average. 43 days was the median listing time for all listings the same week last year. Here's a new way at looking at listing time. This shows us all listings and how long they've been on the market. So, for example, for the entirety of the villages, the median listing time is 47 days, and there are 50 homes that have been on the market for more than 100 days. In the north, the median time on the market is 50 days. In the south, it's 49 days. In the north, the number of homes that have been on the market for over 100 days is 30, whereas in the south, it's only 7. At our last look at all listings for a while, these are all listings that have been on the market for 100 days or longer. 64 out of the 340 meet that criteria, which is 19% compared to 20% a week ago. Now we come to perhaps the most interesting graph, and perhaps the most interesting graph for the last month or so. We noticed that the number of new listings had been continuing to increase while the number of homes going pending had continued to decrease, and I'm talking about the period that you can see on the graph into October. We did see some improvement over the last week or so where the number of homes going pending bounced, but we're back again to, and I'll show you in the next chart, to new lows. What you're looking at here are new listings and homes that went pending over the last 7 days. One can look at this and say that this represents the most timely snapshot that you can get on the market. It's representing how many homes are entering the market and how many homes are leaving the market every 7 days. The actual numbers you see last week, 46 new listings compared to 42 the week before. Pending home sales down from 32 to 20. And you can see that compares to 28 and 21 for the same week a year ago. We'll take a look at the same information from different perspectives coming up, and you'll see why this is concerning. I'm going to start with this graph, which is actually not the most concerning graph this week, although it was about a month ago. I pointed out that we'd noticed that new listings were increasing while pending home sales were decreasing, and that reflects this steep decline that you see from July through September. And it seemed to have improved last week, although we have turned down again this week. The problem is that this is a 4-week moving average, and if we look at the actual data points, you can see that the situation is actually worse than it first appears. So this is the raw data. These are actual figures week by week going back to August. This is the difference between the number of new listings and the number of homes going pending. If that number is positive, then more homes are going pending than are being listed. And obviously that's positive for the market if there's less supply. Whereas what we're looking at here is exactly the opposite. We're looking at more supply. The difference between the number of new listings and pending home sales is increasing in the wrong direction because the number of new listings over the last 7 days exceeded the number of homes going pending by 26. I think this particular graph is significant because this might be the earliest warning signs we see of supply overhang approaching here in the villages. Here we take a closer look at the new listings. You can see it broken down by region. All regions, top left, is the entirety of the villages. This is showing you how many new listings there are in each price segment. It's organized by the most active price segment. So, for example, all regions, the $300,000 to $400,000 range, saw 17 new listings. In the north, the $300,000 to $400,000 range saw 10 new listings, but in the south, the $500,000 to $600,000 range saw the most new listings with 2. Here we look at the entirety of the villages and all the homes that went pending over the last 7 days. The median price per square foot was $259.24 compared to $266.82 the week before. In spite of the fact that it dropped week to week, we still saw a rise in the 4-week moving average. Last year at this same time, it was $249.47 a square foot. Here we look at how long the homes that went pending last week were on the market before going pending. And last week it was a median 47 days, up quite dramatically from the 32 days that we saw the week before and the 30 days that was in effect the same week a year ago. The graph, once again, is showing you a smooth 4-week average. Here's the graph we've been using to get an idea as to how aggressive sellers have been. And this looks at what the price change from the original listing price was for the homes that went pending over the previous 7 days. Last week, the median reduction was an 8.3% reduction compared to 3.86 the week before, and worse even than the 7.63 that was in effect for the same week a year ago. The graph is showing us a 4-week moving average, and that does really understate the extent of the change. I'll show you in this graph here. This is the unsmoothed data, and you can see that we are plumbing depths that we haven't seen for almost a year in terms of the reductions that sellers are offering buyers on homes that go pending over the previous 7-day period. Here's an interesting look. We can see how much activity there is in each area of the villages. 97 homes going pending over the last 60 days. Bear in mind, a lot of this information we've been looking at so far is the prior 7 days. Here we're looking at the prior 60. 97 homes went pending in the villages, 46 of them in the north, 19 of them in the south. Homes that went pending in the north, median size of 1,409 square feet. In the south, 1,696 square feet. The median price per square foot in the north, 234.63, and in the south, 268.15. Here's the last look at homes that went pending. We were trying to get some idea as to how aggressive buyers or sellers were. This is what percentage or the number of homes that went pending within 7 days of being listed. Over the last 7 days, of the 20 homes that went pending, 6 were on the market for 7 days or less. This equates to 30%, improving from the 19% of the week before. And now we come to the number of homes that sold and closed over the last 7 days. 26 compared to 41 the week before. Big improvement still from the 12 of a year ago. Homes selling last week ranged from 175,000 to 1,430,000. Here's a look at the price realized on the homes that closed over the last 7 days. 229 a foot, down from 251 the previous week, and down dramatically still from the 248 of the same period a year ago. Keep in mind the graph is reflecting a 4-week moving average, and 240 is the lowest number that we see there. Here's another look at the homes that closed last week. This is how long they were on the market before going pending. 29 days compared to 27 days for the homes that closed the week before, which compares to 36 days for the same week a year ago. The graph is showing you a 4-week average. This is another look at the homes that sold, this time over the last 60 days, and you can see how many sold in each of the regions of the villages. Once again, north is north of 466, middle is between 466 and 466A, and south is south of 466A. You can see in each area of the villages how many properties sold in each price segment. One last look at sales, again broken down by region, and we're looking at the last 60 days. To explain what you're looking at, what you see is the entirety of the villages in all regions. North, middle, and south are as described before. In the north, for example, over the last 60 days, there were 113 sales with a median size of 1,473 square feet at a median price of $235.50 a foot. In the south, there were 42 sales over the last 60 days, median size of 1,699 square feet, and the median price of $263.22 a square foot. And we get to some good news. This is the percentage of all listings that have had a price decrease from the original listing price. 49%, 49.12% this week compared to 51.72% last week, and compared to 54% of all listings the same week a year ago. And continuing the good news, this is the median percentage decrease for all listings here in the villages, 3.87 The median decrease compared to a 4.04% decrease last week and compared to a 5.05% decrease this same week a year ago. So that concludes this week's look at the Village's real estate market. Hope you found it interesting. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you can like the channel, we would appreciate it. If you're interested in buying a home in the Villages and you're looking to find a good deal in an area that interests you, or you're trying to sell your home and you're trying to maximize your return in a reasonable period of time, please reach out to me at DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com. Be happy to help you, answer any questions you have, and I hope to hear from you. Take care.